Severance is good. You know it's good, I know it's good, everyone knows it's good. Which is why it'd probably be in my best financial interest to make a video agreeing that it's good. But I'd be lying if I said I liked Severance. Don't worry, I'm not here to just complain and say it's bad for the sake of being different. It does so much right, and it's no wonder why people love it. So in this video, I want to try and pinpoint exactly why I don't like it to hopefully learn about what can make a good story fail. At the time I'm writing this, season 2 has just started rolling out, and everyone still loves Severance. I searched everywhere online and couldn't find anyone who agreed with me that it has a real problem. So I want to put my money where my mouth is and predict that people will begin to turn on the show in the coming weeks. There's a consistent underlying problem all season 1, and I immediately noticed it in season 2. And unlike Severance, I won't beat around the bush. The problem I have with Severance is that it's not rewarding to watch. In this video, I'm going to talk about 3 different ways that Severance could have rewarded us, yet failed to. And I don't mean with a finger trap or a caricature. What I think really resonates with Severance's audience are the intricate levels of mystery. Everywhere I look, people are theorizing about where they think the story is going to go next. This is a result of the way the writers are deciding to unfold the story. There's a lot of information that's being withheld from the characters, and when we, the audience, are tied to their POVs, that means information is held from us too. But I think this is the first area where the writers stray too far away from reward. To me at least, mystery in Severance has passed the point of fun and has actually just become annoying. Every story is a balancing act between what the audience does not know and what they do know. But there's a third variable that makes this hard to juggle. That is what the audience knows that they do not know. To visualize this, I'm going to use some circles with some rings. Everything white is what the audience doesn't know. Everything blue is what they know they don't know. And then everything red is what they do know. Over time, more and more blue rings are going to appear, and gradually they'll turn red. By the time the story has concluded, everything should be filled red. There's nothing the audience should not be aware of. Think of this state as the final destination. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. At the start, everything will be white. That represents when the audience has not even started the story. Then, the moment they click play, a blue dot appears. With each new scene, more rings appear, representing all the questions the audience fill their minds with as they get acclimated to this new story. And slowly but surely, those blue rings will turn red. Things get established, answers are provided. What's most important in keeping the audience engaged is the relationship between blue and red, between question and answer. Too much red means things are getting revealed before they were ever anticipated, which can make revelations feel weak or unearned. What Severance is dealing with, however, is too much blue. When a story has too much blue, it means there's an overload of questions and an overload of suspense. In each new episode of Severance, without failure, we leave with more questions than we had answers, which of course can be a good thing. This creates intrigue, keeps us guessing, and keeps us clicking that play next button. For the sake of fairness, I'll admit that the first season of a television show should leave the audience with more questions than answers. Season 1 is a time for development. However, with the case of Severance, I think they went a little overboard. What we know that we don't know, aka all of our unanswered questions, are rapidly outpacing the things we do know, and it's starting to feel like a gimmick, a cheap way to get us to tune in to the next episode. I'm going to rapid fire some examples and hopefully get my point across. I tried to track every macro level question throughout the show, roughly in the order that they were presented to the audience. Why doesn't Helly have memories? Helly doesn't have memories because of the severance procedure. Okay, that's a concrete answer. Why would someone sever? Well, we know Mark did because of grief, and we know Helly did for political push. But the others, we don't know. What do the numbers mean? We have no idea. We can only guess. Who are the board? Again, we don't know. What happened to Petey? Ragabi helped free him, but we're not sure how. Why can't they quit? We don't know why the other Audis come back besides Mark and Helly. Why are the managers so abusive? Because Lumen is a cult, I guess? What's the break room? A torture room. This is finally another concrete answer. Why is Miss Cobell infatuated with Mark? We don't know. We can only guess. What's with the cult aspect? Again, I'm not really sure. Why is the wellness center so bizarre? Well, we learned Gemma is severed too, but that just makes more questions. What is Optics and Design's deal? We don't really know what they do. Why are there goats? Absolutely no idea. Who is Ragabi? Not really sure. Is Gabby Arteta severed? Probably, but we can't be certain. Why is Gemma Miss Casey? Yeah, this makes no sense. What is Irving painting? We know it's the elevator to the testing room, but we're not sure why. What are the Egans planning? World domination? We just don't know. The reward that the creators are offering to the audience in exchange for their time are these answers. Yet, of the 20 major questions we're presented with in season 1, we got 2 answers that lead to bigger questions and 3 concrete answers that resolve the suspense. The rest is still in the air. That's across 9 episodes totaling over 7 hours long. You know what that comes out to? One satisfying revelation for every 140 minutes of watch time. That is a lot of give on the audience's end for not a lot of get. Again, season 1 is a time for questions. Answers will come. But the main takeaway here is that there's a very delicate balance between a question and an answer, because, newsflash, we're watching for the answers. And if I have to spend 140 minutes to get one, I can't help but feel I'm on the wrong end of this deal. Having unanswered questions, even in the surplus that Severance gives us, is not the end of the world. It can be dissatisfying, annoying, and gimmicky, but we know that eventually our questions will be answered. In the meantime, there's other ways to reward an audience that doesn't come in the form of an answer to a question. The easiest and most obvious way to reward the audience is change. There's a universal expectation that audiences want stuff to happen. We want to see change. In the case of storytelling and probably a lot of other things, we can break change up into 2 categories, short-term and long-term, immediate and gradual. Both are types of rewards for the audience. I first want to talk about immediate change. You've probably heard the word dopamine get thrown around in the last few years. Dopamine is basically a synonym for reward. It often gets attached to other buzzwords like short-term gratification. My beloved Instagram Reels and TikTok would fall here. Short-term gratification has a negative connotation because it's easy to achieve and therefore a bit hollow. It doesn't last because it doesn't make a difference. However, I want to recognize that there is merit to immediate gratification as long as you do it correctly. For example, since you've watched this much of the video, I'll reward you with this cool-ass explosion. Pretty awesome, right? Wrong. That explosion added nothing to this video and had no impact on the course of the script. It could have just as well been a clip of a slam dunk, or a lion roaring, or an alien dancing. All cool stuff, sure, but all inconsequential. The point I'm trying to make is that if you actually want to reward an audience, the cool moment is only half the battle. There have to be consequences as well. I found 2 immediate gratification type moments in Severance, which for the record is really low, even for a more cerebral show, but I'll respect that the writers are completely dedicated to a more gradual payoff. Anyway, the first time they tried immediate gratification was when Helly tried to kill her Audi in the elevator. That scene was horrific and powerful, highlighting just how miserable life inside Lumen is. But what actually changed following this scene? Like, how did it advance the plot? If you ask me, it just didn't. Helly missed a few days of work, but she soon came back and life went on. Of course, we can point out exactly how the dominoes fell following this scene, but I think they would have fallen the same way even without this scene, meaning this scene did nothing to push them over. Here's a poorly made sketch that resembles something you might have seen before. It's a way to visualize how the actions taken right now can lead to completely different futures. Some consequences are more direct than others. For example, if you, say, like this video right now, you'll probably feel better about yourself and your positive mood will carry throughout the day. And then when you bump into someone later, you'll hit it off because you're in a good mood, and it might be a boss or a significant other, but whoever it is, you'll be so grateful 10 years from now because you liked that one YouTube video. Yeah, that would be an indirect consequence, but a consequence nonetheless, so I wouldn't risk not liking. However, in the case of Helly, I would say this moment had no consequence. Remember earlier when I talked about how I could have used any cool clip and the rest of the script wouldn't change? That would look a lot more like this poorly sketched visual. See how all of the points end up converging? Despite all of the different choices made, the different paths taken, they all end up at the same spot later on, meaning they were ultimately inconsequential. One of these branches would be Helly's attack on her Audi. All of the other branches are the paths the writers didn't go down. In this one, maybe Helly glued her mouth shut in rebellion. In this one, maybe Helly only spoke in pig Latin. Both less exciting options, sure, but both equally as inconsequential as the path they did choose. All this is to say, nothing ended up happening, which made for a very unrewarding watch. Am I saying I wanted Helly R to die? Not really. I mean, she's my favorite character. But I at least wanted some significant direct consequence. Some major plot-shifting change. And I just don't think we got it. There's another extremely disappointing moment that suffered from the exact same issue. All spectacle, no consequence. Dylan had just found out he has an entire family that Lumen is hiding from him. This turned him into a ticking time bomb, with a quiet rage that contrasted so well with the carefree attitude of the defiant jazz party. We all knew that something was going to go down, but at this point, I had a terrible feeling that ultimately nothing was going to go down. Dylan finally burst, tackled Milchick, and bit his shoulder, breaking skin. That's it. The only consequence. He broke skin. Security tightened up a bit, but life went on at Lumen. At this point, I'm going to be a little mean. If that moment was exciting and satisfying to you, then I have no choice but to compare you to the feeble SpongeBob on his tiny roller coaster. This is you. I'm sorry, but you forced me to say it. But no, in all honesty, I was so let down by this scene. There's a million ways this could have panned out, and I think they chose the least consequential path. And Because there were no consequences, it just didn't need to exist. A pointless scene will never be a rewarding one. So, when dealing with short-term, fast-paced immediate gratification moments, I always want them to result in some meaningful change. This is integral to making a show rewarding, and all of the best shows know how to do it. Severance made it very clear to me that they do not. So, Severance sucks at short-term rewards. They're clearly putting all their eggs in one basket, long-term payoff, to go from point A to point B, to overcome a massive obstacle, to learn a lesson. The thing about gradual change is that it's gradual, so it can be hard to notice in real time. The best way to see change is to compare where you are now to where you were when you started. This way, even when you know you aren't at your destination, you're rewarded by whatever progress you have made. After a full season of Severance and some change, we just haven't gotten that. Let's briefly look at season 1 as a whole. We start with our 4 beloved innies, our heroes of the story. Gradually, very gradually, they begin to understand more and more about their strange, oppressive world. Finally, after a really long time of watching, they want to do something about it. Finally, they do. Going into episode 9, I had not enjoyed a single episode. Should I have jumped ship? Probably, but I was pot committed. And surely my efforts would be rewarded with some progress. The innies escape, the truths come out, and the world surely could never be the same, right? Hold on, we have to wait 2 years on a cliffhanger. Almost over, any second now. Okay, finally, Severance is back, and we're going to get a massive payoff, right? Well, first we have to get through like a 3-minute scene of Mark running through the halls, because 2 years of suspense wasn't enough. Eventually, after that scene that we didn't really ask for, even if it was impressive, we found out that they skipped over all of what we wanted to see. We're right back where we started. 4 underdog innies want to get to the bottom of their messed up world. Where have I heard that? Oh yeah, that was the premise of the show that I came to watch in the first place. We have made no progress. The writers know what we want and they're refusing to give it to us. It's not fun anymore. I've got one last visual I want to use to show off my thoughts on this. I'm calling it the point of return. A spin on the phrase the point of no return, which is what the climax of season 1 should have been. Their actions should have been so pivotal that the story simply could not have returned to the same spot. I can't say I didn't see this coming though. If they had exciting changes to implement, we would have seen them by now. One day, down the line, all of the questions will have been answered. The writers will have been forced to create a real consequence for the characters. The audience will be rewarded, but I can almost promise you that day won't come this year, because this problem is just baked into the core of Severance's storytelling. The only thing worse than being wrong is being wrong and loud about it. And I know a lot of people will think I'm wrong. But if you made it this far, I'm at least grateful you heard me out. If you do like Severance, I'd be happy to return the favor and read your comments on why. On this channel, I have strong opinions about writing, but I never want to treat them as a fact. I just like to include my own fresh takes into the conversation. It's my attempt at rewarding you for choosing to watch me. So if you enjoy this kind of content, I ask that you like and subscribe. It helps out a ton, and it tells me to keep up with what I'm doing. Okay, I'm gonna go watch episode 2 now, and you can bet your bottom dollar I'll be angry at it the entire time. Catch you next time.